Jr., who started just 3 games for Atlanta last season. Very optimistic about each of these 4 players, especially the 2 at the top, and Caleb Williams and Drake May, who have all the talent to be franchise changers.
All right, the Cincinnati Bengals got a deal done last night for the lone unremaining unsigned first-round draft pick from 2025, Shedeur Stewart. Now, Trey Hendrickson is the lone holdout in Cincinnati. Bengals waiting to see whether they can get a deal done. The disagreement is over guaranteed money. All the other parameters are basically in place, but they cannot agree on how much guaranteed money Trey Hendrickson will make. The Bengals are willing to offer 1 year of guarantees. The other top pass rushers like TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, Max Crosby have gotten 3 years of guaranteed money, and there is the disconnect and the reason as to why Trey Hendrickson is in Florida as the Bengals are in Cincinnati getting ready for the upcoming season.
As you guys said off the top of the show, Trey Hendrickson totally fine with sitting out if it needs to come to that. We'll keep an eye on it. Let's go to Flowery Branch, Georgia, where we're live looking at Falcons training camp. This is what's going on that field right now. A reminder, some key draft picks to fortify the defense. Jalen Walker, the linebacker, as well as the linebacker James Pierce Jr., the safety Xavier Watts. They picked up some nice pieces on that side of the ball. Before we get into the offense, because we'll spend a lot of time on that, we'll see Michael Penix Jr. run the field here, what do you expect from the defensive side and some of those improvements they tried to make in the draft?
Yeah, they had the second fewest sacks in the NFL last year, did the Falcons. Only the Patriots had fewer. So they don't just need those 2 players to compete. They need to compete meaningfully this year because, of course, their first-round pick now belongs to the Los Angeles Rams next year. If the goal of the game was to simply pin your ears back and rush with speed and athleticism, James Pierce would have been the second-best rusher in the class besides Abdul Carter. For him, it's about finding out other ways to win besides just using his ability to torque and win with that speed. Jalen Walker was the most versatile defensive player in the class this past year, maybe once again, other than Abdul Carter. These guys got to play a significant role right away. And I would not totally dismiss the name Braylon Trice, their 3rd-round pick, a year ago. He led the FBS in pressures during his final season at Washington, wasn't a premier athlete, so he slid to the 3rd round. He tore his ACL last year in training camp, missed his entire rookie season. They need those 3 guys to completely reshape the complexion of this pass rush, along with Leonard Floyd, who, of course, they got after he was released by San Francisco.
Yeah, that's a big one. Leonard is going to play a big role in terms of trying to bring along these young guys. And look, let me just piggyback a little bit on James Pierce. Got a chance to go down to Knoxville last year and watch him play against U of F. And look, James Pierce, when you look at him in person, and you look at that number 27 when he was playing at Tennessee, he reminded me of Javon Curse. That's the kind of athleticism you're talking about. You're talking about a sub-4.5 40 guy at like 6'5", 245, 250. He's got all the talent in the world. There is no reason for them to be bottom quarter in the league in pass rush win rate like they have been for infinity years, it seems like. They've been trying to answer this question in Atlanta forever. And him and Jalen Walker and Leonard Floyd, that has got to be it. That has got to be now where they can kick it into gear. Because if they don't, I mean, you can't throw any more assets at it than they have. And those guys, you're absolutely right. They have to come through, and Raheem has to make sure it comes through.
Yeah, you heard the reporting earlier from Dan Graziano about their new defensive coordinator, Jeff Ulbrich, saying the offensive scheme was so complicated that he was struggling to coach against that. What's important for Michael Penix Jr. to take that next step? We saw only a small sample size last year, Dan.
Well, the unit that we just were watching for about 90 seconds is going to go a long way. It's going to be one of the best offensive lines in football. It's one of the most connected offensive lines in football. So anytime a quarterback, let alone a young guy, has that advantage. Last year when he played, the thing that stood out was the arm downfield, the rocket launcher ability downfield, okay? So your yards per attempt, this is just in his 3 starts. Right. He's number 1 in the league.
Wow.
Yards per game, he was top 10. And then you go to completion percentage, 29. So they're going to, Zach Robinson, their offensive coordinator, they're going to have to try to find the nice marriage. You love the explosive plays and you love the big plays down the field, but you're also not going to be good enough completing 58% of your passes. Yep. Your offense, because there has to be an efficiency part of it. So you love the fact that you can have those big plays down the field and Mooney and Drake London are making them, But I do think that will be the one thing to pay attention to with Michael Penix is, can he just learn a little bit more of the completion-centric ball efficiency demand this league has?
If you're watching with an eagle eye, you're noticing that Kirk Cousins is, of course, still out there. Adam,
It felt awkward looking at him.
I agree.
I was like, when he went with his rep, I'm like, who is that? Like, who's going after Penix?
Kirk. We all kind of had the same thought. And I think for fans, I mean, I'm curious about this too, Adam. It's quiet right now, but is there potentially an appetite if Atlanta could get enough money? Maybe there's a team that needs a quarterback. Somebody, God forbid, gets injured. Do you see him being moved?
Well, that's the whole thing. There's nobody right now that you could say needs a quarterback. There's nobody that needs a quarterback and would be willing to pay the money today. But the moment Justin Fields goes down, your mind wanders to Atlanta. The Jets are going to check in on Kirk Cousins. Fortunately, it was not a serious injury. There's no need for the Jets to do that. But that's what's going to happen. If there's a quarterback that unfortunately gets hurt at all this summer, everybody's first thought would be, will they call Atlanta for Kirk Cousins right now?
The quarterback room's so deep there, Dan. What do you think? I mean, you're watching Cousins right now. The problem last year was it felt like he was a shell of himself. But is there still enough in the tank where he could contribute well to another team?
I do. I just don't think if I'm Atlanta, I move off of him.
Interesting.
Well, here's my thing. When they made the decision to draft Michael Penix, they were comfortable with the situation for at least 2 years. Whatever the order was, they were comfortable with it. You just talked about Field, how they took next year's #1 pick to go up. They know that this year's a really important year for them to have some really good foundational success.
Totally.
I don't know if they really care, and maybe that's not the best. Who the quarterback is leading it.
Right.
They want to go win. They want to start to establish a winning culture and win football games and be a playoff contender. And if Michael Penix is the guy for this year and Kirk Cousins is the backup, so be it. As long as those pass rushers hit, because they don't have a first-round pick next year. So if I'm Atlanta, I want to protect that position by all cost, just like I did last year. And I think that this is a dangerous football team. I really do. You guys know the pass rushers better than me. But if Michael Penix is really good, if everyone's penciling in Tampa Bay to win the division, probably rightfully so. If Penix is really good, man, this team's got a chance to win 10, 11 games.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, too. That division, though, it seems like, and, you know, I don't want to say this and besmirch teams, but it could be more winnable than other divisions. They feel very confident.
Tampa's the heavy favorite.
Totally.
And again, they deserve that. But that's
this isn't the AFC West or the NFC North.
Two of the teams have quarterback situations we really have no clue about.
Are we counting out my Saints?
We'll talk about the Saints later, I promise. Now they're your Saints. Interesting. All right, so table that. That's a big tease.
It rhymes.
That is one quarterback room. How about this quarterback room? The Browns quarterback play. You are the biggest fan of Tyler Shutt, but let's talk about the Browns. They thought they were getting a solution at quarterback when they traded for Deshaun Watson in 2022. It's brought on more problems, as we know. In that span, their QB room has the worst touchdown to interception ratio and completion percentage. They also rank 4th worst in yards per attempt and total QBR. It's bad, right? And we're going to bring in Jeremy Fowler to give us the insight there from Browns camp. You've been watching this. You've been around, Jeremy. What can you tell us about that quarterback competition between 4 guys that are all in very different situations?
Laura, I just spoke to head coach Kevin Stefanski coming off the practice field. He told me that we're simply not there yet as far as a pecking order for the 4-man quarterback battle, and probably won't be for the next week. He's thinking deeper into August, closer to preseason action, where he'll sort that out. Kenny Pickett and Joe Flacco have been going back and forth with the first-team reps. Today, Pickett got the first crack in 7-on-7. I'm told he has had a really strong last few days, so making a little bit of a push. Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders have both been early risers, hard workers in the building, Stefanski told me. They've been pleased with Dylan Gabriel's ability in play action, which is such a big part of this offense. He's looked slick in that area so far. Shedeur Sanders had a live arm from what I just observed. And then you mentioned Deshaun Watson, Laura. Funny observation here. Interesting enough, I saw Watson lifting weights in the weight room adjacent to the practice field a lot of weight on the lunges. He was getting after it, and I'm told that he's working incredibly hard to make his way back eventually, whether that's in Cleveland or somewhere else.
All right, we'll keep an eye on that. Yeah, we've kind of said he's the forgotten piece in all this in a lot of ways. Thanks to Jeremy, we will check back in on Browns camp a little bit later right there. Saquon Barkley, he's busted some moves too, a little different moves than we just saw from Jeremy Fowler. Thank goodness for Saquon Barkley. We go live there. We'll be looking at everything happening at Eagles camp, of course. And there's a lot of expectations around this team, right? And there's so much talk about the departures. Are they going to look so different because they are a different team in a lot of ways, especially on the defensive side? But let's zero in on the offense, Dan, as you look at Saquon. With him as a centerpiece for Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, doesn't that make you feel pretty good?
Yeah, this still the best offensive line in football as well. So, in the best wide receiver core, or at least duo in the NFL, certainly one of them. The question is under Kevin Patullo, who's taking over as offensive coordinator, just how much this offense will change, if at all. You know, I do think that last year it became very clear that Kellen Moore, who was the play caller, now the head coach in New Orleans, was we're going to run you, but we're going to run until we literally can't anymore. We are not going to try to over confuse you. We're just going to try to dominate the line of scrimmage and break the rushing record. Is Kevin Patullo that disciplined? Are you willing to be that boring at times? And I think that with Nick Sirianni hiring him, that would have to be the philosophy. I don't think this offense changes that much. I really don't. There's not a lot of question marks about this football team. There certainly are not any on the offensive side of the football.
Yeah, he said this morning, Kevin Patullo did, this is going to be the Philadelphia Eagles offense as you know it. Worth noting, he's been with Nick Sirianni for nearly a decade. So this is not somebody who is an external hire who is saying the right things at this time, but might look a lot